Hello, internet. I really like programming. I think it's great, honestly. I think it's not only a great job, but it's a great thing to do. It's a really cool way to spend time. I find it interesting, I find it motivating, I find it passionate. But I feel that there is a lot more to it than what people see, honestly. That's what everybody thinks about, and you're wearing glasses. Well, no, frankly, I think that to me, programming, first and foremost, is something creative. And I think that's one of the key reasons why I like it. It's constantly creating. You constantly have to spit out new code, something from yourself to solve problems. And given that there's a million ways to solve it, you have to come up with your own way. You have to be creative all the time. Unless you're doing like some boring stuff, like rewriting somebody else's code and fixing old libraries and old modules that someone else wrote. But even then, like, you have so much input on how you do it. And there are standards, there are ways to do certain things, sure, but there is still a lot of flexibility, and there are better ways and worse ways to approach particular things. And it's the fact that you apply your knowledge constantly on a daily basis, your experience and your knowledge to be able to solve new problems. I feel it keeps me on the edge of having to create stuff, and you just constantly create shit. It's cool. I like it for that reason, number one. But I thought, apart from that reason, there's maybe a few reasons that I think about when I ask myself the question, okay, why is it that I really like programming? And I thought, hey, why not? Let's talk about that. So, a number of things that I personally enjoy programming for. Most of the time, when you really just separate the core type of work that you do when you program, you're just sitting and typing something on a keyboard. Yes, and there's a lot of research, there's a lot of querying, there are meetings you have to have with people, there's a lot of like peripheral things they have to do. But okay, let's be honest, core of it is you're just sitting here and typing on a keyboard. And I find that this brings a lot of benefits, a lot of hidden values that you may not realize straight away. To me, the key one, I think, being that you can do it remotely. You can take your laptop wherever you want around the world, plug it into a socket, connect to the internet, and just start coding. You can live in Japan and work for a company from the US, or you can live in Morocco and work for a company from Czech Republic. Like, you know, the possibilities are endless. You open yourself to a much bigger market of jobs, and that brings other consequences with it, obviously. But I think the core benefit here is that, yeah, you can just do it from anywhere. And it's very easy to do it from everywhere. A lot of the time people forget about how only just typing stuff on your computer is so much simpler than, for instance, having to record any voice, audio, music, record video, for instance. Work with editing, whether it's, you know, Photoshop, Illustrator, when you're doing photos, designs, doing videos. You know, there are so many different scenarios in which you need extra things to happen, extra kind of environment to make it work. Like, I'm not going to be editing my photos when I'm sitting in a bright daylight, because I know the colors will be off and there'll be a lot of glare. I won't be recording my audio if I'm sitting on a rooftop of a building and there's going to be dogs barking in the background, obviously. But when it comes to programming, you can literally just sit anywhere and start working. And with connectivity these days, you know, whatever country we go to, I'm gonna get a SIM card with some gigs on it, and if I don't have the internet, I'll just connect to my mobile internet and I can literally work away from just about anywhere, which doesn't mean you do work from anywhere. Common misconception that people work from the beach. They don't. I tried it once. It was fun. I did it mainly so I can show it to my friends and make them jealous. You don't work from the beach ever. But you can work from a lot of places, and that makes it very convenient. Without getting into reasons for why this is the way things work these days, it's actually really well paid. Can't remember a programming job when I felt unrewarded. I feel like it's quite well related to the amount of input you put in. I didn't feel the same way when it came to some of the other jobs that I did in the past, but when it came to coding, I felt that my career was growing at a relatively steady pace, and I was happy about each kind of, you know, salary jump that I made with each consequential job. I feel it's something worth keeping in mind. If you pick up a job, if you pick up an interest, out of all the things you could do in the world, considering the materialistic side of it, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. So I also feel that programming is a cool thing because you get a reward and fucking hell, what am I supposed to say here? It's good money. It's what matters. You sometimes get to do things that matter. You may get to work on some fun projects that will affect other people. Not to say that, you know, they will change their lives, although there are apps like that as well, you know. But it's quite common to work on something that will affect a kind of a wider variety of people, of customers, of, you know, whoever is the third party, the end user of whatever it is that you're building, which I think is pretty cool. It doesn't leave you sort of disjoined from the rest of the world. This job can have quite a nice connection with other people, and you can see the impact of your actions directly in the world around you. You also sometimes get to do interesting stuff. So not all jobs are cool, not all jobs are interesting. There is a lot of things that you have to do that you will not enjoy, that will not be fun. But there's still a lot of things that are actually pretty interesting and fun, and there are cool projects that just make you go, wow. Like, I think if in any way you'd call yourself a person that's interested by technology, by progress, by sort of, you know, futurism and like, you know, things that can be done these days using the modern science, then to me it felt like programming in some fields makes me very satisfied about being able to participate in that and actually build some of that interesting stuff, some of that cool stuff that kind of pushes the frontier of what's currently available forward. So I feel that, yeah, even though sometimes it may not be interesting at all, being a programmer also means that you sometimes will land pretty cool jobs that just will keep that drive and the motivation inside of you going, and you'll be able to keep on pushing without really feeling like you're working. It's going to be more of a passion project that you're going to be paid for. Pretty cool. And actually, talking about technology, you get to understand the technology around you better. Like, it fascinates me how little people still know about their phones, about their computers, about how the whole system, the information technology system that we use and we extend ourselves with, most people don't understand how it works. And I find it bizarre that we just rely on it so heavily. Sure, I think it's not a point that everybody should understand it, but it's kind of funny how we're just completely reliant on something that most of us have no clue about. And frankly, even when sometimes I reveal some of the technical details of how a particular system works, like, I don't know, the internet or your phone or the apps or whatever, websites, and people just go blank and like, fucking hell, is that what it really does? Therefore, I feel that, yeah, when you do join the team, the programming team, you slowly, bit by bit, start to understand how all that stuff works, and it all starts to make sense, and you start to understand why your videos are buffering, why does it take so long, why does internet somewhere works better than in the other places, why some things are and some things aren't possible when it comes to like connecting people around the world. The topics are endless: security, cryptocurrencies. I could go on forever, and I only gave 2 examples, but you get the point. The point is, when you learn programming, you understand a lot more about computers, and our world these days is based around computers, so you just get more context in just stuff that's happening around you. I also like programming because it's a calm job. Like, it's relaxing. I don't want to say relaxing because, well, okay, it's not relaxing. Sometimes it is relaxing. If you do something you like, it can be relaxing, but it's calm. Like, I used to work as a cocktail bartender, would get dressed 7 o'clock in the evening, go to the bar, go to the cocktail bar, and work my ass off till like 3 a.m. in loud, busy environments, talking to people, you know, doing shots on the side, having a bit of burger on the side as well to be able to make it through the night, dancing, you know, making cocktails, just kind of in this big machine of just noise and fun and filth. And it was good, it was the best time of my life, but let's admit it, like, I don't think you can carry on doing that all your life. And so I didn't, even though I miss it, I didn't. Was programming, it's chill. Like, you're at home, or wherever you are, and you can put up, you know, whatever music you want, and you just have to think, and you have to type what you think. You have to kind of conjure ideas in your head about whatever thing you have to do, and then you have to translate them into functional code. Or you have to do debugging, which isn't as much fun. But it's peaceful, man. Like, you're just sitting at home, you're sitting in a coffee shop, you're sitting on a rooftop somewhere, at a train, you know, on a plane, wherever you are, and you're just typing away. It's very relaxing, and I feel on the long term it's probably very beneficial that it is this way. Also, programming gives you tools that you otherwise wouldn't have. You can automate so many tasks in your regular day-to-day life. Obviously, computer life. Things that you have to do either on your phone or on your computer. You can automate a lot of them if you know how. And even just like fundamental knowledge in programming gives you the skills to be able to put together some modules, some pieces of software or libraries or some online services that will just simplify your life, do something that you would like to do. And I feel that especially at the later stage, once you understand programming better and become more proficient with it, you have a massive skill set of just answers for whatever question you may have. It's not a question of how do you do a lot of those things. It's more like, am I gonna save enough time by doing so? Is it actually worth turning this idea into code, or can I just carry on doing it manually? And what it results in is that you have a library of little tools, little snippets, little pieces of code and scripts that do little things for you. And then in the future, whenever I need to like put all the photos in my folder into like subfolders that go by year, right? I have folders from all the past, or like videos from all my past, and I just feel like, hey, I need categorization, right? Like I could, go and like download some tools and software maybe that does it, and maybe I would have to pay for it. But it took me like 3 minutes in a little bit of Python script to be able to have my proprietary functionality and a tool that I can now use forever. And I have like a billion of these little things that slowly, maybe some of them would even grow to a bigger tool and add more functionality. So you just kind of, as a programmer, you add to your collection of tools, and you just kind of slowly are building up this sort of world of functionalities that I feel the regular muggles don't have access to, and they wouldn't even know where to start. Programming is also a very broad discipline. Because when I say programming, I kind of also mean, more like systems, administration, kind of informatics, computer informatics, information theory. Not so much only, being a web developer or a mobile developer, because that's there as well. But all in all, like the subject of computer science and related topics to it is extremely broad, and there's so much to choose from. I understand that, you can be passionate about anything. You can be passionate about so many things. But when I think about maybe some other disciplines, but I'm thinking that sometimes the amount of available choices you may have is much smaller than when it comes to programming and computer science in general. You can do so many different things that require a completely different set of skills. So I feel that end of the day, the choice of becoming a programmer gives you a much broader spectrum of specializations that you can end up with. And therefore you can be much more granular in choosing what is it exactly that you like doing. It doesn't just have to be, well, this is the path that everybody takes in this subgenre and that's kind of where I have to go. Well, frankly, no, there probably will be a company that's very glad to pay a lot of money if you can do that one thing really well. A good example of that, and it could be a lie, frankly, now that I think about it, it sounds like an urban myth, but I read somewhere that there are companies that still pay programmers to use these ancient programming languages that were like from the 80s or 90s or even before that. So these people are being paid by banks because their systems were built in these ancient times and they have to be maintained. It costs them less money to hire these couple of people that understand this particular language really well than rewrite the entire system they're basing their business on. So they'll hire someone who still knows an ancient language that nobody really uses anymore. And if it happens that for that guy, for that girl, this language, this system, this framework, this library is actually super interesting, well, there you go. You can specialize in that and there'll be someone who'll be happy to hire you. Probably a stupid example, but I find it interesting. I think it's cool. Although it's also weird and explains why there are so many things that are shit about websites and about banks. And like you go to see an ATM and half of them are like a ruin of software that they're running on. Well, there you go, that's the answer. So, long story short, it is very, very broad and there's so much to choose from and I find it exciting. End of the day, it's not for everyone. Sure, you have to like it, you have to find passion in it, but it's a very attractive job that I feel that many people will find their place in. It has so many benefits, I feel, as compared to some of the other jobs. Don't listen to anyone telling you that you should do one thing over another. But amongst the spectrum of things that you think that you do like, consider what benefits and what drawbacks come with each of the options. And I feel the reason why I wanted to share why I personally like programming is just to highlight maybe some of these benefits that programming comes with. I should probably make another video about all the horrible things about programming, although when I think about it, there isn't that many. Like, there isn't many girls around, and you're kind of lonely. And you grow mustache without realizing it kind of looks horrible on you. Because you rarely go out and you rarely look in the mirror. It kind of sucks, actually. I should change a career.